Hello everybody, this is Patty, the Tinkerer's wife, here at Tinkerer's Paradise in Portland, Oregon. Um, Tonight's going to be a little different, and this is not a normal time for me to be giving a video, or putting out a video there. Excuse me, I had a lozenge in my mouth because my throat's been incredibly dry today. Uh, I was out here in the garden just kind of wandering around, and this garden, like many things in my life, I try to look at things from a spiritual aspect. I am a very spiritual person. Some of you already know that. For those of you who aren't, there's probably something in here that you can get out of this too, so hang around, okay? I just want to say thank you for checking out my channel, and I hope that this video will be something that will inspire you and or speak to you in some way that'll be positive. So today I'm out here in my garden and I'm looking at the Amarillo tomatillo, which is a new type of tomatillo to me. It's one that's sweeter and all those kind of things, you know. Got to have the latest, greatest things. Well, it just had been sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. So it's gone to compost heaven, and it'll feed future gardens. I'm grateful for compost piles for that reason. It doesn't seem like a complete failure. So I did that, and after I did that, I was walking over to one of the beds where I had sown two different kinds of lettuce mixes that I'd gotten from Baker Creek. And much to my surprise, one variety had completely disappeared, save one teeny tiny little plant. And the other one, almost every one of them had disappeared also. I think I probably had about 15 plants that were still okay, and I can probably transplant. Now, honestly, part of me wants to go, is this the soil, or am I missing something here? And as I started thinking like that, this little voice in the back of my head goes, plant flowers. Now, this voice, as it were, I call it the Holy Spirit, was speaking to me 2 weeks ago to plant flowers, and I was not listening. And I have kicked and wrestled with the idea of planting flowers because that means that some of my vegetables might have to go, and I was looking at the vegetables as a means of feeding us. Not that we can't afford to go out and buy things, we can. But y'all know how good it is to be able to take in something out of the garden. So anyway, I looked at the pitiful seed bed for the lettuces, and I decided that today was the day that I was going to go ahead and suck it up, and I was going to be obedient. So I planted a salvia that I've never planted before. I planted the Tulsi basil, which I love that in tea, and it's good for pollinators. I know it seems late, but quite honestly, we don't get a frost here till really late. I mean, we can have really mild temperatures even into the first week of November sometimes. So I'm not really too worried about it that way. I planted sweet alyssum, which is one of my favorite little plants, was one of my mother's favorite plants, so that's the reason why that is. But it is really a sweet plant, and it's good food for things like ladybugs. When they don't have a lot of aphids to eat, the nectar in that plant is really good for them, so you may see some ladybugs on it. Besides that, they're just really, really precious little flowers. You know, I know we all like these big, or not all of us. I'm not one of those people that likes big flowers. I know a lot of people do. But I tend to like the little tiny ones that we can get up close to, and just the ones that call out to us to be intimate with them. Anyway, aside from that. So I was out here digging and scratching and pulling up and planting. I got my roselle planted finally. hoping that it will produce something, even if it's just flowers to look at. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. It's been a sore spot since I sowed it practically. Sad to say, some years are like that with some plants. So anyway, I've just been out here looking at this stuff, and I thought I'd hop on YouTube and share just a little bit about what I was thinking. So we'll have nasturtiums to eat, and we'll have sweet alyssum to fragrance the garden, the salvia and the tulsi basil for the pollinators, along with some other flowering plants I have in here already that are good for pollinators. And it'll be what it's going to be. It's not going to be everything in a little row. It's kind of scattered hither and yon. Some zinnias. I'll have more zinnias. I love zinnias, so that'll be cool. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I should say maybe filled with anticipation. Excitement is a little too jazzed up for me, especially today. So anyway, it's getting to be kind of dark out here. I'm gonna try and show you one more thing I did, and this one is a little watering station for bees and wasps and that. So come along with me and I'll show you. Since I was little, have loved collecting rocks. My father got me into it. I'm not somebody who collects them and catalogs them. I just love the beauty of them. And a neighbor across the street had given me some prior to her death. She was 95 when she died. She was an amazing woman, had led a full life, quite amazing life actually. And that was in 2000 she passed away. So I've collected these rocks. Most of these are pretty recent. I don't think there's anything in here that's not recent, but they're very unique. Some of them were from parking lots, some of them were from our soil. We have lots of agates here where we live, so the agates in here were mostly right out of our soil. And I really enjoy it. And it's one of those things that kids can find enjoyable. But it's really fun to take them out with a little water bottle and spritz the rocks, because you can see the dry patches are not as colorful as what's underneath. I don't know if you guys can hear that. That creak, if you can hear it, is my knee. I have two hyperextended knees that both sound like old doors. I've never had them repaired. One of these days I'm not going to be able to bend them, and I'm probably going to have to. Anyhow, it's kind of funny when you're walking up the stairs with somebody and they're like, "What's that sound?" Anyway, enough of that. But the whole reason you want to put rocks in this is so that bees will have some place to climb up on and they won't drown. Now this, you can kind of see how deep that is. And it is just a dish that's put underneath a fancy ceramic pot. I don't have the container. I never had the container, but I loved the color of the dish. And I have used it for watering for the cats and the birds, and I thought, you know, the bees really need something. I know when we had a week of some pretty warm weather and it was dry here earlier this spring, I remember how thirsty the bees were. I get the hose out and water, and I would just be swarmed, not in a bad way, but enough bees were around me, bees and other flying insects, that I knew that this was needed. Another thing I do is I keep it in the shade so it doesn't get too hot. I am going to put it up on a platform of some kind that'll be sturdy enough that and high enough that the things like raccoons won't be able to get into it, because they like to wash their food, and yes, we have raccoons running through our yard. So I just wanted to show you that. I recommend that you give that a try with your little ones, with your grandkids or your children. And then just want to wish you a very lovely Friday evening. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your holiday weekend celebration. We had a very quiet one here. It was just me and the tinkerer. Oh, I gotta tell you, the tinkerer got fangirled today. Our neighbors around the corner who know me. This is too funny. Anyway, they were having a yard sale. So he goes over there and they didn't know who he was, and he mentioned where he lived, and the gal, she goes, "Oh, you must be the tinkerer. You're Patty's husband." And, you know, she started kind of fangirling, and her husband did too. And this cracks me up because here is my unassuming husband who people are fangirling over. I told him he was going to be famous. I did. Mark my words. He is going to be famous. You know, he does so many wonderful things, and he really deserves everything. He deserves all the blessings he can get. I love him. I love him as much as he frustrates me. I love him. And we all know how that is. All of us that are married or in relationships, we know how that is. But anyway, I just want to thank you for spending time with me. If you like what you've seen here tonight, I hope you'll consider subscribing. And please click the like button before you leave. I really appreciate that. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to put them in the comments. I do read all the comments, and I do comment back something anyway. So, excuse me. So I just want to say thank you again. Also, I'm up over 160 subscribers, which blows my mind. Thank you everybody who's subscribing and who's hanging around and watching my videos. The comments mean a lot to me. I gotta say, more than anything, the numbers aren't as important as the overall quality of the conversation that we have, because part of what I want to do here is form a community, and you are, by being a subscriber, part of my community. You become my tribe, so to speak. So anyhow, with that said, I'm just going to say goodnight. This is Patty, the Tinkerer's wife, signing off, and God bless.